It has been a huge week for the offshore wind sector with two big developments. The first was last week with the announcement of the Marine Planning Policy Statement, which just gave an overview of how all the different pieces that you need for consenting an offshore project will need to come together, outlining the National Marine Planning Framework, which includes the MSP, the Marine Planning and Development Management Bill, which is the new name for the MAFA bill, and then outlining that these will also require some enforcement systems. That consultation document just shapes how all of these will speak to one another. I welcomed clarity on how offshore wind projects will need to apply for planning into the future. But then this week, with the announcement of the Climate Action Plan, an even bigger development, a clear signal by government about the level of offshore wind that we need over the next decade. At least 3.5 gigawatts by 2030 is the level of ambition shown in the Climate Action Plan. There is 118 actions in total in the Climate Action Plan. 3 of these are designated to offshore renewable energy specifically, but what's not apparent from looking at that 3 is the number of steps that are under each of those. Over 50 steps under these 3 actions alone. A full section designated to offshore renewable energy, and the primary piece focused on offshore wind. Great news. Some very interesting insights when you delve into the steps that are outlined. The government has outlined that they see 2 distinct types of offshore wind project in Ireland. Legacy projects and enduring projects. And here's a quick snapshot of some of the key timelines and steps that they've applied for each. For legacy projects, there's going to be transitional protocol put in place for consent, which is due to be complete by the end of this year. After you have your transitional consent in place, you'll get a grid offer by Q2 of 2020, next year already. Once you have that grid offer, there'll be a period of time to accept it, after which you can then enter an offshore specifically designed res auction scheduled for Q2 2021, less than 2 years away, and then you'll move into the construction and build out phase. For enduring, however, things look a bit different. We'll have a new consenting regime, which I just presented in the previous chart, showing, and the final deadline is for the National Marine Planning Framework to be complete by Q4 next year, end of 2020. Once you can get consent from that regime, you can then enter one of the other offshore specifically designed res auctions, which are aimed to take place in 2022 and 2024. And it's only after you come out of the auction that you then move to the grid offer and acceptance phase. Within 8 months of coming out of the auction, you have to obtain a grid offer from EirGrid. A signal within the document that it'll become a much more centralised structure, with EirGrid being the lead on the grid offer suggested in the Climate Action Plan. So great clarity provided, huge ambition signalled, but a slight nuance in the short-term legacy projects being transitioned versus the enduring system that we're likely to see in years to come. There's no doubt offshore wind will play a huge role in meeting the 70% renewable electricity target set in the Climate Action Plan.